Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another developer Q&A video for Eve Echoes. For those of you who don't know, each week the developers of Eve Echoes take 4 questions posed to them by the community, respond to those questions and post those responses to the Eve Echoes official Twitter account and the Facebook page. It's also buried away in game somewhere as well, but I can never remember how to get there. Anyway, I know that not everyone wants to go through social media and connect it to all this kind of thing in order to get the latest information on what's going on in the game, so each week I go over the 4 questions and the responses, give my thoughts and opinions, just as a heads up of what kind of cool new content could be coming to Eve Echoes. Anyway, this is also the first video of 2022 for Eve Echoes, so if you're watching this, if you don't watch my Infinite Lagrange content as well, then Happy New Year, hope you had a fantastic holiday period, and hope that 2022 is an awesome year for all of us going forward. Anyway, with all of that said and done, if you do enjoy this video, please let me know by hitting a like on it, sub to the channel for all things Eve Echoes, dinging that notification bell, and if you want to have a question answered by the developers, make sure that you ask the question by clicking the link in the description down below. It'll take you through to a Google document. You can ask the question. If yours is one of the ones chosen to be answered, you win a month of Omega, which I personally think is pretty awesome. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the weekly developer Q&A for the week of the 22nd to 28th of December 2021. Do you have any plans on releasing the event background music on iTunes, for example, the Neon Rain, Golden Age, etc.? Yeah, I kind of agree with this. I'm lucky enough that, obviously, as part of the content creator program, I've been sent MP3s of these. I'm not allowed to share them around, though, unfortunately. Sorry, folks. Please don't ask. It's awkward for me just to have to say no, but I really liked these tracks. The Neon Rain was awesome for me. I'm a big fan of synthwave in general, so that was pretty cool. The Golden Age is not really my kind of thing, but still pretty sweet. Infinity, the anniversary song they did, that was catchy as all hell, and I loved that. Yes, we do, says NetEase Jamie. Thank you for being so supportive. We plan to release these latest tunes on multiple platforms, including Apple Music and Spotify. Awesome. We're still discussing some details, but you should be able to listen to the music soon. In addition, we're also exploring other elements that would help make Eve Echoes music more expressive. Not just events, other systems may also see new music. We have a long-term plan for this, please stay tuned. There's some really cool stuff we can talk about there, so EVE Online, I've mentioned before, I really love the EVE Online soundtrack by John Heller. Fantastic pieces of music. Below the Asteroids, Seven Clans, ACAP Mountains is one I've used a lot as background music for videos as well. There's just so many, surplus of artifacts, so many good tracks out there that are just really worth listening to, but it's a very unique soundtrack. I'm also really glad to see that NetEase are adding their own sort of music into the game, and I would love to see some more of this added around, having some exclusive music for being docked in an ITC, for being docked in a Capsuleer Outpost. God, can you imagine if you could actually choose the music that plays when you're docked at your own Capsuleer Outpost? That would be really cool, and that's a really just subtle way of getting people to have their own Capsuleer Outposts and use them that little bit more, because you can customize them, make them your own, new cool backgrounds, your own music. That would be really awesome. I'd love to see Faction Wargames get its own unique background music. I know not everyone plays with the music on even, but for those of us who do, that would be really cool, and it's nice to see that they're considering this and thinking about different options as well going forward. That's really cool. Second question, would it be possible to allow for the sale of items through the personal assets menu while docked in a Capsuleer Outpost? Speaking of Capsuleer Outposts, currently if I want to say sell something I have in my inventory at Jita while docked in Null, I have to undock and then go back through all the menus to find it again whilst out in space. Yet this is so annoying, and it's why one of the reasons ultimately, even though I have my own Capsuleer Outpost, I tend to stay docked at our local Citadel instead, because I can sell stuff directly from Jita. I can, you can move stuff, you can repackage stuff in the menus like you normally would, and I don't get why you can't do that at Capsuleer Outposts. Same when it comes to things like Faction Wargames. I'd love to see those, you can queue up for that kind of stuff. at your own Citadel or your own Capsuleer Outpost as well. A Capsuleer Outpost should have all the functionality, pretty much, of a basic NPC station, at the very least. That's my personal opinion, at least. Thank you for your feedback, says Lancelot. I'm pretty sure that should be Lancedot, unless we've got another dev with a very similar name. It's very helpful. We'll add this feature in the near future, allowing players to sell items in other stations while docking in an outpost. It's pretty niche, I'm not going to lie, you know, not everyone's going to use this, but it's a simple quality of life change. I say simple in that it's just a small change. I don't know how complex it is to actually code. I assume that there's got to be some level of difficulty to it if it wasn't just a default thing, but it's a change that not many people will necessarily notice, and it'll be one of those things that in a year's time you look back and go, my goodness, there was a time when we couldn't do this? Why was that? There's so many little quality of life changes we've had like that since Eve Echoes launched, all the way back in August 2020. My goodness, that feels like a lifetime ago. So many little quality of life changes that I can't even think of right now, but I'm sure if I went back to the game as it was back then, there are little things I'm going to be like, how do I do this? Why isn't that there? Why are contracts this way? Why does that work like that? And I love that the developers are paying attention and keeping on top of all those little things as well, because they all add up just to make a really cool user experience. Can we bring station containers or other ways to better manage our inventory? Containers would be ideal to label, organize, or transport groups of items. For those of you who don't know, in EVE Online you can actually generate these little containers, which are literally, as the name implies, they're boxes that sit in your station. You can put a name on them, so you can sit there and go, right, this container is all my weapons, and you group all of your weapons and you put it in that container, which means it's nice and easy to find them when you want to fit a new ship, for example. You can actually move those containers around directly as well, so you can group everything and take everything in one go. Basically, think of it literally as shipping containers that you can put a label on the side and you can put stuff in. I think this is something that they've mentioned actually recently as well in the developer AMA and in the roundtable. I think it got mentioned as something that is coming, but NPixie and PL, two new developers as well that I've not seen before. I'm loving the fact that we're seeing new developer names as well. That's really cool. Thank you for your suggestion. Sure, we'll bring in Station Cargo Hold to help players better manage items. In addition, we're also adding an in-game tool to further simplify the process. Huzzah! Players rejoice. This is such a nice thing to have. Like, it really does make so much difference not having to scroll to the freaking bottom of your list every time you want to check how many of a particular nanocore material you have, or if you want to look for a particular skin. And yeah, there's certain filter functions, but they really don't narrow it down all that much. And if you're looking for a particular module, oh, Lord help you if it's a container like mine at a station, where you've got all kinds of different weapons because you're trained into all kinds of different weapon systems, and you're trying to find that one particular piece to grab it and transport it somewhere else. Oh my goodness, it takes ages. So the ability to sort it and actually, you know, move it in containers, excellent. In Wargames, can you prevent allies from being able to lock onto each other? As every game I have an ally that kills me, or at least prevent a loss in rank points from losses if you were damaged by an ally. Yeah, that's not the fix you're looking for here. How do you, especially with the 3v3 mode coming, and there's going to be logistics in that. If you take off the ability to lock onto friendly players, you lose that. Yeah, you're always going to get trolls. You're always going to get players like that. If it's happening to you every game, though, like, I play faction wargames a fair amount, and I speak to a lot of folks who play faction wargames a fair amount. This isn't something that comes up all that frequently. Like, are you shouting in local and being a rude asshat to everyone, and then they're locking onto you and blapping you because you're just annoying the ever-living heck out of them? Because I've honestly never once been locked onto by a friendly, and I've never heard of anyone, like, really getting this. There was that period where this happened for a brief period of time, then they added the penalties and things like that. So, I don't know, I just, this seems like a bigger problem, like, not as big a problem as I think it's being made out here. But hey, I'm open to listening to what Taylor's Fox has to say on this. Thank you for your feedback, but we currently have no plans to make this change. On the one hand, after implementing the penalty mechanism in faction wargames, there have been fewer reports on teammates' malicious attacks. There we go. On the other hand, keeping players from locking onto teammates makes it impossible to use remote repair and other modules, which reduces battle freedom. Yeah. That's a very good point. There are also times as well where, like, you might want to lock onto a friendly person and use something like a webifier to help them align faster. That's a very useful thing to do. If you're flying an interceptor, you all want to relocate to somewhere else and they're flying a destroyer, for example. You can lock onto your friendly destroyer, hit them with a stasis webifier, they then warp faster because their maximum speed has been reduced and they reach that 70% margin faster. It's stuff like this. I get it. It must genuinely suck to be playing faction war games and lose your ship with no enemies around. You've just been locked onto by some douchebag who thinks it's funny to do so. Just understand that they are going to get that penalty on them. They're not going to be able to jump back in for a long time because of this. It might be someone just venting their frustrations and doing it in the biggest dickish way imaginable, but rest assured, at least they're getting penalised for it. If you're finding this every single game, then I reckon you've really upset a lot of people, and they're taking that. If people are willing to shoot you every game and go through that penalty, you really must have upset them. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being harsh and unfair. But if it really is every game, you've done something to upset a lot of people. Otherwise, it's hyperbole, and you're sort of doing that, every game, when it's like once in every 30 games, at which point it's not a huge issue, and changing the entire way the game works in order to try and deal with it, yeah, it's a problem. I think it's always going to be an issue when people do, like, lock on and blow up. But at the same token, I'm sure there are people who sit there in, like, a friendly one and go, actually, I kind of want to go back, and could you just blow me up and do that? I mean, I'm pretty sure you can actually self-destruct your own ship and go back and change to a different ship if you want to. But yeah, there are reasons to lock onto friendlies. And I don't think that's, getting rid of that is the right way to go about solving a problem, especially if it's not a particularly huge one. Anyway, those are our 4 questions for this week. Nothing huge, but then again, we have had, 2 big developer AMAs. We've had the developer roundtable. There has been so much going on recently in what they're going to be announcing and releasing next year. So I kind of get why the dev Q&A is that little bit quieter at the moment, and some of it, it's not necessarily as exciting as, these new ships are coming and these new modules are coming and stuff like that. It's more quality of life change, but I'm personally really excited to see the developers using quality of life changes as their focus right now. They've announced that this first year, 2021, was them pumping new content into the game to give players new things to do. The first half of 2022 is all about quality of life changes, balancing, making things better, making what's already there even more exciting and more engaging, and I'm all behind that. This is going to be an exciting couple of months. I'm looking forward to covering this. I do apologise as well. Apology is the wrong word. I'm not sorry that I took a period off over Christmas. It was great to spend some time with the family and friends over Christmas and New Year. I was out at Masuna fishing camp. We had constant power cuts. There was a point where we had 5 days with no reliable power at all. We're running generator. Terrible signal, so I could barely even log into the game to collect my daily rewards. There was no way I was going to be able to make content. So I just decided, you know what, let's just relax, have a couple of weeks with the family, unwind. But now that 2022's here, now that January's here, we've got the fibre optic about to be turned on here in Bulawayo now that I'm back home. It's a pretty exciting time. I've got loads of content that I want to make. It's just now sitting down and actually grinding that out. So thank you all so much for your support. I've taken a bit of a hit to the revenue this month for doing so, but hey, that's the price you pay for spending time with your families. It's been awesome. I'm looking forward to getting everything up and running, get some really cool content. Hopefully with the fibre optic I might even start streaming. Who knows? Good world of possibilities out there. Anyway, folks, thank you for sticking around to the end of this one. Thank you all for your support always, and happy sailing. See you in New Eden.